So now we'll do the official introduction. Brad, I don't know, I'm an MC here in Ireland, so I'm trying to get Bruce Buffer's job. So this is the first time I get to introduce someone of your calibre here. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to this show the one, the only, with a fight record of 25 wins with 11 defeats, Brad One Punch Pickett. What's the story, Pad? Welcome to the show, Brad.
How you guys? You good?
Yeah, we're top, man. So I'm Noel. I'm the big clown speaking now. Then we have Rob.
And I'm Carl. You can see me slightly in the distance.
Yeah. So, Brad, we're going to get in, and we're going to get in deep with you straight away. So, if you want to give us any exclusive fight breaking news or anything?
Don't give us some fight breaking news. Well, if you're not watching the fight, especially taking you're not. Julian Santos looks like he's winning against Rothwell. He just done a Sparta kick from 300, saying this is Sparta.
We have it on here in the background, but we actually shut it off there just at the end, because we actually thought it would run. We'd run. We thought it'd be over at this stage, but we didn't think it would. The heavyweights again.
I was like, oh shit. It's still going on. Yeah. So I'm actually upstairs now, which is on downstairs, so let me know the result.
So we're ruining the fights on Brad Pickett. There's one for you now, look. So Brad, thanks a million for taking the time to come on and talk to us here. We are big fans. I'm going to straight away get the elephant out of the room. Your last fight, we do our fight picks here every time, so I just have to get it out. I feel it'd be unfair if I didn't bring it up that the two lads picked against you, Brad. No, come back. I picked you, Brad. I picked you. Carl and Rob went against you, and I picked you. So how I picked you though was
just get them out of the equation.
Exactly. Me and you will have a chat. I agree with that. But no, I picked you, and the lads, they jeer me for my silly reasons. And I said, how can you not love a man who wears a hat and reads a paper walking to the cage? He's never in a bar and fight. But there's a story behind the hat and the paper. So could you tell us a little more into that?
Well, the story behind the hat and the braces and stuff, I come out in is it's to pay tribute to my granddad, who used to be a bare knuckle boxer back in the 1920s. I didn't know him too much growing up. He died when I was 4 years old. But when I got at the age of 19, when I got into boxing and stuff, my mum was saying, "Oh, you got it from your granddad. He used to do bare knuckle boxing and stuff like that." So for me, I was like, "Okay, cool." So I started to look into him a little bit more, and then I saw pictures of him wearing braces and a trilby, so I thought that'd be quite cool to pay homage to my granddad. And with the paper, it was just kind of one of those things I thought about it one day. It's like, I come from a working class background, and everyone comes out to like gangster hip hop rap, and I'm like, none of you guys are gangsters or that stuff. So it's like, for me, I wanted to make something a bit more traditional to me and what it meant to me. So that's why I came out to Chas and Dave, they're family friends with my mum when we were growing up. So I know Chas and Dave, so I thought I'd come out to that from the East End of London. And then reading the paper is like, if you're from London or you've been to London, everyone who goes to work on the tube and underground just buy a paper and read a paper on the way to work. So that was me reading a paper on the way to my work. It's just, to me, it's just like a job. This is what I do. If there was somewhere I could clock in to the crate, I'd punch my deck and go in there.
The question is, though, now, do you have to put a Reebok tag on your hat and paper now, or are you allowed?
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah, you have to pay me a bit more.
Yeah, nice.
We had Dan Mahovahedi, the referee, on just before yourself, and he was very unhappy that he couldn't actually speak to you with us. We don't have the technology to get him on, but he was asking...
he's still listening, isn't he?
Yeah, he's listening, yeah. Or he could be watching the fights, maybe. But he was asking... He wanted to ask the question was concerning the flyweight division with Demetrius Johnson and the TUF 26, I think it is. The winner will get a title shot. What do you think about that? Do you think that's fair on the division itself? Do you think it's a good move by the UFC?
It's not happening.
It's not going to happen. You don't think so?
I know it's not.
Is this breaking news?
I can't go into too much, but it's not going to happen in those aspects. But no, I can't go into too much detail. But the only reason I know, because I have a lot of close friends that I've actually had a guy from my camp that I've flown out to go. I paid for myself for him to go attend the tryouts. So I know a little bit more inside knowledge about it, but I can't comment too much. But Demetrius is not happy with the fact.
Yeah, I was saying that he had an article on Bloody Elbow there where he was saying he thinks it's a bit disrespectful to the rest of the division to jump that. They went down that route a few years ago. Now it was more the comeback, where the GSP fought Matt Serra, and obviously we all know what happened there. Probably one of the biggest upsets in MMA. But it was just interesting. As I just before when we had Dan on, I said they may be doing that because, let's be honest, the Ultimate Fighter as a program, it's sort of faltering every year. They went with the whole Black Zillions against the top team. Yeah, and they were trying to make rivalry, and it's almost like they're trying to add spice to the flavour because it doesn't seem to be working for them lately.
It's been going on for many years, so like the need, obviously, entertainment's entertainment, and you need. Why would people want to watch this season over last season? What's different? So they have to retreat. I mean, it's hard. It's showbiz. They need to try and reinvent it sometimes, but sometimes it's hard to reinvent a wheel. But sometimes the wheel's not that interesting. So, now there's so many of them as well. It's hard to keep up all the time. But I do think they definitely do need to do a 125-pound TUF, because never done one before, and that's probably probably the most shallow division in the UFC. Not only for talent, but just for stardom. There's many people inside the top 10 you won't even know. They could be on the main card. You'd be like, who's that person? So they need to give guys more TV time, with a stuff with a TUF show. That say you don't always have to be the best fighter in the world. If you're good on camera, come across, people can relate to you. It helps build stars. So I definitely do think they need to put a bit more razzmatazz into that division.
Well, you can see it. I pointed it as well. We actually spoke about this last week. And a lot of people consider Demetrius Johnson as probably one of the best pound for pound fighters. When you at that, a lot of them consider him and such, and you can sit there and smile now because you have a win over him. But a lot of people do. But Demetrius doesn't seem to sell a card. As in any time he's on a card, it seems to be their lesser pay per view. So I have to say I do agree with you in regards. I need to pump it into that 125 division because it just doesn't seem to sell. I
obviously I've known DJ for many years, but he's right. So some people have that. Character is very obviously Conor for one. Obviously, he's very charismatic.
Sorry, Conor who? Conor who?
That guy from Ireland, the armpit of the UK. Where that's kind of I get it. No, but with Conor is he. I don't even ever watch press conferences or in those sort of stuff. I'm such a busy man. But I'll tell you what. I'd watch his because he's very, he's very intriguing. Things he says and stuff like that. So you want to, even if you don't know the sport, you turn around and think, "What's this guy talking about?" He's very interesting and very articulate. How he, approaches stuff. So he's very good. Obviously, he's one end of the scale. But he shows why he's earning the money he's earning because he's bringing the eyes to the sport and to himself. Where DJ's been a champion for a very, very long time. And you go and interview Demetrius Johnson and it's very forgettable, So, and it's hard, not everyone has that,
But Robbie Lawler actually spoke about it when I can't remember who he was talking to. I think it might have been MMA Heat, but he actually said that Conor brings out his personality, but it also shines a light on the rest of our personality. He says because I'm not the outspoken brash guy. He said I tend to do my talking in the octagon, and it sort of does that where Conor's so brass and so mouthy in a sense. You know what I mean? That it also highlights other guys' personalities in different aspects, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it just brings more eyes to the sport. Where I think someone like Conor's the type of guy that you may not follow the sport, you may not know what UFC is, but Conor is. There's not many people who could do that in certain sports. Who are famous outside the sport. Obviously, people who follow the sport know who I am.
Yeah.
But people who don't follow sport will know who Conor is. You know, they won't have a clue who I am. But that's the sort of stardom he's created, and like he brings those eyes in from sports and other areas that will never even give our sport a look, and then bring them in, and then may create a fan of the sport. Where so I got into MMA because I listened to Conor McGregor interview, found it very interesting, watched the sport. Now I love the sport. You know that so he has that sort of, you know. I mean, in a way, I don't want to give him too much of a big head, but kind of a bit like Muhammad Ali, you know, like every time he started speaking and stuff, like, don't get me wrong, both these guys are great inside the ring and octagon, should I say, but it's outside the ring and how they conduct themselves that made them quite famous as well. And I think these two are very similar in personalities and, you know, and the way they talk.
And you done a kind of an article, or you were involved in an article on the Telegraph there, and you were talking about, you know, some of the things that people don't know about MMA fighters, and one of the things was that you guys are entertainers as well as fighters. Do you think, as you were saying, you know, some people have it, some people don't? Do you think that's something that somebody could learn, or is it something that naturally comes to somebody?
Both. Same as fighting ability, you know. Some people are naturally more gifted than others. Some people learn quicker than others. It's the same with everything. Even with showbiz and stuff, you know, some people, you know, it's all stuff. You can learn things, but some things become easier to other people naturally, just with their character and or physical attributes, you know. So I think it is a bit of both. You need a bit of guidance and help in certain ways, but some of it also is to do with the individual.
And before we get off the McGregor subject and move to some other things, do you have a prediction on the fight coming up with Nate Diaz?
I'll be brutally honest. I'm disappointed that he's actually getting a rematch with him, and also I don't see why it's at 170. You know, like for me, it's a pointless fight in my honest opinion.
It's too lightweight, not cutting weight, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a pointless fight, and then also it's like, I say honestly, I love Conor, but I don't see why he's getting a rematch. It's like, yes, he was beating the crap out of him in the first round, and then got beat in the second round. But then you look at the other fight, he was getting beaten up by Chad Mendes, and then beat him in the second round. So Chad Mendes did get a rematch, and that's for an interim belt. That fight was for nothing, and now this fight again is for nothing. You know, so I don't see why you need to do that immediate rematch, apart from Conor's ego. You know, obviously it's been dented, so he wants to fill that hole. You know, and obviously because he has so much power, selling power, he could call the shots a little bit. But then I think UFC have created that monster, if that makes sense. You know, then rein him in a little bit, and now he's doing what he wants a bit. You know,
it's also, you'd have to say, from the UFC point of view, it's the biggest money fight probably at the moment. You know, probably the biggest fight, like, especially on UFC 200.
I think a fight between him and Aldo rematch would have been just as big.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Edgar. I have to be honest, as my perspective, I would have loved to see him fight Frankie Edgar.
I've said it myself that, you know, it's holding up the flyweight division, and
it's holding up not just it's like, what do people do now? Because now, just to say now to book the fight again, just say one of them gets injured.
Yeah.
Then what? They're going to then you wait a bit longer, and then it's a fight outside of a weight class. You know, like I know that Conor says that, you know, he would defend his belt and he'll fight multiple times and that, but it does not. It's a fight game. You can't always work that way. Injuries happen. He's been lucky with injuries. He's like, okay, he got injured once, but that was during a fight. You know, so he hasn't had a camp injury, but a few of these fights, his opponents get injured, so it does happen. You know, so yeah, I just for me, I just think for the sport, it's a nothing fight. You know, it doesn't affect any weight division or anything, and like. My honest opinion, I think he should have gone down to 145 and defend his belt, because he fought. Okay, I know everyone was going on, and this is with people like with Conor. What's happening with Conor, where Conor's brought so many casual fans to the sport who don't know the sport that well, and they think, oh, but Conor fought at 170, but they don't actually really realise that Nate actually is a 155 pounder anyway, and he was ranked number 5 at 155 pounds. So Conor can't beat Nate at number 5. He shouldn't be fighting for the belt at that weight class. So he should go back to his weight class and defend his belt at his weight class. But people don't understand that because they obviously are quite casual and brought Conor brought him on, and I think he fought outside his weight class and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think people need a little bit more education about the sport.
Well, that's always the way with the casual fans. Now, obviously, we have you on here, Brad, so we don't want to fill the airtime with just Conor McGregor talk here. So, we want to bring it back to your sense. It's a weird question, but it's a complimentary question in some ways. Okay, so like coming into your last bout, you were in the hole for 3. You 3 defeats there, and it just we news this week of Norman Park getting cut and Rochelle getting cut and Wilkes getting cut. So there's a lot of cuts there now. As I always said, like if anyone ever said to me, one of these quick questions when they ask you a question, you have to give your answer instantly. And if they said to me Brad Pickett, and my first answer would be never in a barn fight. Yeah. And you went in with the fight. I have to first bring up the Thomas Almeida fight. For me, we spoke about on a show a couple of weeks ago about the fight of the year and stuff like that. And I said, for me, that's the complete underdog fight of the year. That round 1. Almeida, it was almost. I don't want to say it was almost like Almeida was put against you because I knew it was going to be a hard fight for him. That you're tough, you're really. But that fight for me, that round 1 for you, how that kid survived the onslaught that you put on him. You looked unbelievably phenomenal, and then you got caught with it has to be said, a beautiful knee by Almeida. But that for me, thank you for that fight, because that for me was a highlight of 2015 for me. It was one of the best fights I've ever had the honour of sitting on my couch and watching. It was phenomenal. But just to bring it back down to my question, so did you feel going into your last bout that your contract was on the line with the UFC?
Yes and no. I already spoke to the UFC a little bit but before it, and I didn't personally. I got my coach to have a little word with Shelby just to put the feelers out there, and he said, no way in a million years would they cut me, and even if he did, Dana wouldn't let them, right? But then that's what they say. But for me, also, I don't want to be in the sport on past merit. I'm not that type of guy. Obviously, I'm in a very alpha sport, If you're not alpha and you keep getting beaten stuff, what am I doing? I'd go play billiards or something, or tennis, I'm in the reason I got into the sport is because I'm not a violent person, believe it or not. I'm just very competitive, I want to win at anything I do, and I found this was my calling, where I played a lot of team sports growing up, and you could be the best player on the pitch and still lose, or you could be the worst player on the pitch and still win in a team sport, where this is solely you're responsible for the outcome of your fight. So if you're a very competitive person, I think this is the most challenging thing you could ever do as a human being, in any sport. Obviously you have a lot of other sports like tennis and stuff like that, which have that same sort of mentality, but I don't think it's as physical as my sport. And boxing, same thing, is same sort of mentality, same sort of striking, but it's not as physical as my sport. So I think one-on-one, physically, this is the most demanding sport, and mentally the most demanding sport you can have as well. So put it all together, to me, that makes the sport what it is today. And that's why I in my eyes, I excelled at the sport. I think many times early in my career, I fought many guys who are by far more technical than me, but I just had the will to win and my toughness, and I could beat people. I could break people mentally, because I not only had physical attributes, I had the mental strength to do that. And going back, I'm veering off my question here, but going into that fight, it was the most challenging thing I've ever faced within my career, where I do find myself and pride myself on being a very mentally strong person when it comes to fighting. Very good. But fuck me, I was in trouble in that fight. Not that fight, just lead up to that thing. No matter who I faced, it could have been the best guy in the world at that weight class, or some guy off the street. It was just the demons and the mental things I put on myself, thinking, I just had a kid, so then I'm thinking I need to supply food on the table for my kid, and that way I need to earn money for my kid. Am I old now? Am I too old? Because with timescales as well, with me having my kid and me losing a couple of fights, I don't want to fight in 2 years. So for me as a man, and like I say, going back to what I said before, this being an alpha sport, I was just like, what the hell am I doing in my life, you know? And then also with the build up to the fight, every time I had a media question, it was like, oh, is this your last one? Are you retiring? And them kind of planting that seed, and I was like, maybe is it? Maybe this is it. Maybe I haven't got it anymore. Maybe I can't do this, you know? So for me, it was such a mental struggle going into that fight, and I think it definitely affected on my performance. Where, as you spoke about me versus Thomas Almeida, I felt great in that fight. Mentally, I felt great, but then I lost that fight. With this fight, I fought like shit, but I won it. So it's like, actually, I'd rather fight shit and win than fight good and lose, you know. But I think if I fought him again next weekend, well, obviously I'm not in great shape now, but yeah, if I fought him again now, I'd beat him a lot. I think I'd beat him quite comfortably. I think it was the mental pressures I put on myself and me going into that fight that really held me back a little bit, where normally I'm a little bit more gun-ho, frigate, bite down my mouthpiece and let's just go kind of thing. I think I was a little bit more tentative and a little bit more nervous, and just the pressure on me just made me not perform as well as I could have.
Well, again, what you're saying there about having a child, having a baby there, you can see Luke Rockhold and Weidman were doing their press conference here, and they're going on the shows, and Rockhold was saying to Weidman, you know, I've dedicated myself to this sport, you've dedicated yourself to a family, so you're not as dedicated as me. Now, I'm a dad as well, so like I think, like, I don't know, I'm sure you as the alpha male, as you're saying, I'm sure now that you're a father, it's just risen even more now, do you know what I mean? As in, you have a child, do you know what I mean? You have to protect and rear this child, and it just becomes something. So I think I can get what Rockhouse doing is trying to get into Weidman's head, but what you're saying, I just think, you know, I'm going to curse Brad, so apologies, you don't fuck with a dad, you know what I mean? When there's a child in the midst, you just don't, you know, and I just... I get what you're saying with the pressures, but I think it's a pressure that's almost that motivation to push it again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, the thing is, also with our sport, you have to be motivated 100%. And I think throughout your career, you find different things to motivate yourself throughout your career. As in, obviously, when you first start, you want to motivate, you want to prove to people in your gym that you can fight, that I'm tough, I could do this. Then you want to prove to your coaches that I could win my fight, I want to show my friends. And then it just moves on. Then I want to prove to myself I'm the best in UK and Europe and stuff like that. Then I want to get signed by a big show. And then it gets to a stage where competition kind of was my motivation. You know, I wasn't motivated by money or anything like that. But now it's a little bit different. It's not about me anymore. Now my motivation is about my son and providing a stable family and a financial backing for my son to improve my son's life. So yeah, I'm not fighting for myself anymore. I'm fighting for my family. You know, so yeah, it's different motivations. You know, not that I mean, I say I've always been motivated to train and fight. You have to be in the sport, but I think your motivations throughout your career would always change. You know.
I'm going to bring you back to the time when you broke Irish hearts. When you fought Neil Seary, our own Neil Seary. I actually brought this up as well when we were talking about you doing our fight predictions, where I picked you and the two lads didn't. I said that the only time I've ever went against you was when you fought Neil Seary. Now, Neil took that fight on a short note. It was a great fight between the two of us. And with the greatest respect, the two of us are up there on the old clicking clock as well. And it was, for us, you look at Neil now, like he's fighting, he's being confirmed to fight Orgucci, like as in, what do you see as in, you shared the cage with Neil as well, so how do you see your how would you break that down for Neil? Do you see it being a good opportunity for Neil, or?
Who's he fighting next?
Horiguchi.
Who's right?
Horiguchi. He fought Demetrius Johnson, I think, his last fight. Yeah. So it's a tough fight.
Yeah, I train with Horiguchi, man. Yeah, he's good.
He's good.
But going back to Neil C, what a lot of people don't realise, I was a massive, massive part of getting him signed to the UFC. But people don't realise that. I got a lot of stick for fighting him for the Irish fans, but the Irish fans should thank me that he's in the UFC, because I was going on to Shelby to sign him to fight me, because I wanted to make sure I had a fight. And I know that he put his name in the hat, and everyone was going on that Shelby didn't want to sign him, and I was saying, look, sign him, because obviously his age and his record at the time wasn't great. But look, I don't want to not fight. I want to fight, and I need someone. And so I was a big part of him getting him signed in the UFC, And I've got nothing against the kid, because I like him. I don't like anything, but I got a lot of stick from the Irish fans for fighting him. But of course, I'm going to want to win. I'm not going to want to lose just because.
How could you do it, Brad? How could you beat Air Neil? How could you do it?
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So I don't want, so me, I also, yet again, for me, always, people you fight, you always want them to go on and do well, because it makes your win over them look good. And I think, obviously, I knew it was a tough fight, but even taking that fight on short notice. But obviously, I was disappointed with my performance, because I wanted to finish him. I wanted to win that fight comfortably. But, I think Shelby and everyone wasn't happy with it, because I didn't finish him, because they look at his record and his age, that being Brad Pickett should smoke something like that. But then obviously since then, it's shown that, look, I've beaten Neil Silva, look, look what he's gone and done. He's beat Chris Beal, he's beat, guy was 10-0 when he fought him, so like, he has the caliber, to beat these sort of guys. So actually, thank you. Please give me some credit for my win over him.
Neil Searle is like Brad Pitt's character in that movie. What's his name? Benjamin Button, was it?
Yeah,
like he proper is, like, as in, I don't know if you've seen the picture as well, Brad. We had a big centenary over here in Patrick's Day and all, and as they had it all cordoned off, the streets, all the guards and all, there was a big parade set up, and in the middle of the picture is Neil Searle out for his morning jog. Like, it's such an iconic picture. It's funny, he shouldn't have been there, like, is the point. But just to move on as well, we actually put up a few things on Reddit there, just to say we're having you on the show, and we asked a few fans to see, would they ask you a few questions. So some were weird and some were wonderful, but we're going to break down just a few. So the first one, obviously this one comes into accordance with your nickname. Basically says, do you get disappointed when you have to throw more than 2 punches?
Of course. I mean, it'd be really quick. It'd be a really quick night if I knocked everyone out with one punch. It'd be pretty awesome. I'll be able to fight every week. I'd be able to fight every day. But obviously, it's like going back to the marketing side of things. You need to market yourself within the sport, and I think my nickname carried over from boxing. Obviously, it's not completely accurate. But like Paul Staley's not made out of bombs, is he? So like,
never let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Again, another one here was what was your favourite crowd to fight in front of? Now I know you fought on the UFC, both in the UK, you fought here in Ireland, and you're on an Irish podcast. So what was your favourite crowd to fight in front of?
Well, because I got booed coming out when I fought an American, I got booed when I came out in Ireland. I won't say that crowd for one. Let me have a think. I don't understand. How do I get? I know his name's Ian McCall, but he's American. So
I was at that fight actually. I was cage side, and I was like, "How are they booing you?" It was quite weird. I don't know why they were booing you. But yeah, they booed you. Yeah. It's because you beat Siri.
Obviously, I'm going to have to say finding the O2, because obviously I'm from London. That's in my backyard, and a lot of my friends and family get to come and watch me. I had like over 300 people, my friends, coming to watch me in the O2 and stuff. So so 100% it'll definitely be the O2 for me.
Yeah, that'd be like our Conor fight at Croke Park. Or Wembley for yourself, Brad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but obviously one of the noisiest crowds was the Irish crowd,
Yeah.
We spoke with Dan, and that's actually a question as well we got on Reddit, but we spoke with Dan about the state of MMA in the UK, like the amateur scene. You obviously have a promotion yourself. You just started up. What's the state of the amateur or just the MMA scene in the UK at the moment?
It's always growing. The sport's continuously growing. Like I say a lot of times now, where when I first started fighting, it was just a case of you just fought because you wanted to test yourself, and every now and then you can maybe pick up a little bit of money, but it was more of hobbyists. It wasn't like athletes doing the sport as such. Now it's actually a popular, legitimate career path for young athletes to go on and pursue and earn life-changing money. So we need to pave a way for these youngsters and have a good path for them to follow. And like for me, obviously I've done a lot of things the hard way. I've fought crazy amount of fights all over the place to try and make it to where I am. But now there's a lot more faster routes for young athletes, and you see people in the UFC with under 10 fights and sometimes under 5 fights. So you don't have to have as much of a career as I did before.
CM Punk doesn't even have a fight. What do you think about that? Actually, just as what's your take on CM Punk?
That's not happening, though, is it?
Yeah, he's being confirmed for UFC 200. Was it?
No. That was a fantasy pick.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
He's just supposed to fight.
I'll comment on that when I see it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyone can talk about that, but when you actually get in the cage and get punched, it makes a big difference.
I'll put her out there. I'll fight CM Punk for free.
I 100%. It's strange. Like I respect anyone who does what we do, to no matter what level it is.
Yeah.
As soon as you walked into that octagon, me and you right straight away. Like, I get it. I know what you went through. It's a big difference. Like between saying I could do it. Seeing so many talented guys in the gym are they look like the next best thing. The walk out there goes. So like it's mentally a complete different thing stepping in there. So knowing someone's been training to beat you up. It's like completely different. So and no matter what level someone does it, from the highest level to the lowest level, straight away you have this mutual respect.
Again, I know we're throwing quick fire at you here, but what did you think of Sage Norwood? He got a lot of stick online, obviously for his last fight where he tapped out. What was your take on it?
I think it's I feel for him. He's very harsh, but that's not his fault. The UFC created that, UFC, because they had the power to create their own stars, and obviously they created that, and he rose too quickly, and he didn't have time to develop and grow. Obviously, he got tapped by something in my eyes is she never tapped to kind of thing. It wasn't really on. I just think it's like he's a young kid, and there was too much pressure on him and stuff like that. And if you're a young kid and someone goes, everyone was moaning about how much money he was earning, but you're not going to go, excuse me, I don't think I want this money. You know what I mean? It's like, so I've got nothing against him at all as a person. I just think the UFC promoted him too quickly and put too much pressure on him, for a young kid, and it kind of backfired on him.
Do you think that maybe, another thing in the article that you had wrote up on the Telegraph was that everyone loses, the greatest fighter in the world can lose. Do you think that maybe the UFC should make use of their fight pass shows that they have on the smaller events where they have these guys like Sage Norco who has a lot of potential, but maybe put them on the smaller shows, give them more experience than putting them in that limelight straight away, and giving them these really tough fights on the biggest platform, and then everybody's seeing the loss and criticising them. Do you think that they could use their platform of fight pass with the smaller shows a little bit better to kind of mould the fighters a little bit more? Yeah,
maybe, but some people, like I keep saying, will rise to the occasion. Some people will crumble. Everyone's different. Going back to bringing him back in, I think Conor, he given the limelight early on, and he still would have gone on and showed his skills and stuff like that. So I think everyone is individual, and also, like I say, they put him on the biggest stage, but they didn't really put him against the bigger opponents. Yeah, the guys he was fighting were very beatable, at that weight class. So it's not as if, they just put lower level fights on a bigger card. So it's a bigger stage in that aspect, but not bigger competition.
So bringing it back to you, Brad, what do you think next for you? Where do you see yourself now? Are you looking for a fight in the next coming months, or what's your plans coming up?
I kind of like, I would like to try and fight 3 times this year, as in last year I only fought once. This year I'd like to fight 3 times. I've had 1 fight. So my next fight, I'm kind of like looking in my eyes, is the UFC 200 weekend. There's 3 cards in 3 days, so I don't mind which one I get on. I'm not one of those. I've fought on the biggest card there are, and it'd be nice to be on UFC 200, but I just want to fight that weekend because logistically it gives me a chance to fight on that. And then, by the way, this is Jason Shotgun Young is my guest on the house tonight.
How's it going, man?
How you doing?
Alright.
Yeah, I'm great. Okay. See you later, guys.
See you later, man.
Former UFC guy as well.
Who was it?
Just around my house. Yeah, Jason Young.
Oh,
boy.
Nice. Didn't even recognise him.
Yeah, nice.
Completely different.
We're gonna. I know you're not the call out type, but is there anyone in your division you'd like to test yourself against? You see a fight that is potentially something you'd grab, you'd love, or even play fantasy, not necessarily a call out. Who would you like to fight in the division?
Yeah, for me, fighting's a job at the moment, so I'll fight anyone. I've got no grudges with anyone. Stylistically, I was supposed to be matched against Henry Brunos. I can't even say his name, to be honest.
You're like me when I'm announcing the names of shows. That's deadly.
He got injured, and then I fought Rivera. So, like, maybe I can rekindle that fight. But, to be honest, I'm not in a position to be calling people out if I wanted to anyway.
Yeah.
But, obviously, I think on bucket list, I'd like to fight Uriah at some point, because it's just a big fight.
Yeah.
But then obviously, I don't mind. Someone who's not a runner. I was fed up with fighting people who run away from me. That's why I went back up a weight class.
Yeah. So you're gone back up now in your weight class. We have a question here from some fans. A lot of people want to know what the cut was like. Was it flyweight? Was that hard on you, or? No,
it was tough, but it's like, man, I'm a professional, so I can do it. I'm not saying I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the hardest thing in the world. Now I'm not the biggest bantamweight there is now because I went down to flyweight a few times. I'm not as big as I used to be.
Yeah.
So making the weight is not that hard now, But obviously during camps it's a lot more enjoyable. I could eat a bit better and not going and counting a couple of peanuts and shit like that. I can enjoy. Which I think some people do fixate too much on their diet rather than their training, and especially young kids. I coach a lot now. I'd never let any of our young guys cut too much weight because all you're doing is stunting your growth. Where you could grow up to be a light heavyweight and you end up stunting your growth. Now you're only going to be a welterweight in your life because you're not growing and because you're eating so minimal calories at the age of 17 because you want to be cut so much weight, which is stupid,
Yeah.
So I'm very much. I always explain to these guys that elephant's not the king of the jungle, So don't get me wrong, size does matter to a certain degree,
yeah.
But you see it all the time. Not the biggest guys. See many people drop down a weight class and it doesn't work out for them. They go back up.
Well,
yes. But the reason for me was not just the weight cut; it was the style of fights.
Yeah.
It just didn't suit me at all. People were. Don't get me wrong. I get the game, but they were boom hitting me, running away, and I'm like, oh, come on, this guy. And in a way, they just found a way of outpointing me over 15 minutes, where if you locked me in a room with them and gave one of us a key, I would come out of that room. 100%.
There's an idea for a show straight off the bat, isn't it? Brad Lock Pickett. There you go.
Oh, nice. Nice. MTV, get that shit.
Yeah. Brad, we're just going to wrap it up with you as well. So just before, obviously, you go as well, just talk briefly about Rise of Champions as well. So I know Dan's involved as well. So when is the actual date and when's it upcoming, and where, just again for people listening, where can they get tickets? Where is it taking place?
The show's on the 23rd, so two weeks yesterday. It's in Romford, Essex, so if you guys want to go down to Romford, go meet some Essex Seattle after, it'll be a good night out. But yeah, if you go to the Rock Events, rockevents.co.uk or .com, and tickets on there. You can go to our Facebook page as well. Hit us up on Twitter. Any social show some support, that'd be great. Because I'm trying to create, like I say before, like a legitimate path for young, inspiring athletes to grow and move on. I'm not one of those. I don't want to be one of those promoters where they have one side of the card. Whoever comes out second is going to win, and like that. I'm not that way. I want to have young, athletic kids who are good at fighting to compete. So it's not one of those. You get those lopsided cards where one of your mates sells 250 tickets, but he's terrible, so to bring someone who's even worse than him to fight just so he wins. It's just it's not the angle I'm going with my promoting.
Well, again, Essex, I don't know, boys, we get a trip away to Essex. I think my wife might disagree with me going to Essex. But, Brad, I have to say, from my perspective, I met you at the Dublin UFC card where you fought Ian McCall. We stopped you on the street along myself and my son. We got a picture with you. It's probably the first picture I've ever seen my son smiling, because he tends to do this pouty face or grumpy face, but you're an absolute gentleman, and it was truly an honour to have you on and talk to you tonight. I didn't fanboy you out because I tried to be as professional as I could. A huge fan, and I wish you the best of luck at everything in your future endeavours, and I will be at home on my couch drinking beer, screaming at the TV for you every time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks a lot, mate, and thank you for backing me all the time, mate.
Well, at one time, Neil Seary, but we'll forget about that. We won't bring that one up. But an absolute pleasure. So again, Brad, thanks a million from myself and Carl and Rob here. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Cheers, and thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
No problem at all, guys. Thank
you very much,
Brad.
Thanks.
Good night.
For the best.
Best of
Cheers.
luck.
Take care, my man.